Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragon's Den. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's here every single Wednesday or who gets to see it, the, the recording. And thank you for all your emails, for your subscribing to the channels, for following, for sharing. Thank you for that. We all appreciate it. These are guests that deserve to be seen, to be heard, and each one of them has a unique story. So, we could all learn from something from everyone. Tonight, LD is not joining me again. I know. I keep sending him to these healing missions, but you know what? He needs to be there, and I need to be here. So we're all good. We're all good. Tonight I have Erin Bush. Welcome, Erin.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. And Erin and I met a few years back, and we were working together on a paranormal event, and we had a lot of fun. And that's how we met, and from then on, we've been tight.
Yep. And our paths just cross in the most random ways, as it does, right? I think I have a candle on my head. It looked like I was wearing it. So we're just going to move that.
Oh, come on. You needed two. You needed two candles.
Oh, my goodness.
It's sort of holding the halo, sort of.
Right. I just looked at it. I'm like, well, that doesn't look right. That looks weird. Let's move that.
So, Erin, tell us about you and how you got to where you are right now.
Well, clearly a hot mess.
A hot mess, of course. It's like everybody else these days.
Hey, take me as I am, right? Exactly. So yeah, I kind of fell into the paranormal world by accident. I was in law, as we've discussed ad nauseum over the years, as a paralegal for about. I only did it for about 10 years compared to your 30 plus, but
yes, well, it's still bad enough.
10 years too long, right? So towards the end of that 10 years, I started my spiritual journey. Things just sort of kind of lined up. I had actually gone back to get some counseling, some therapy, and just sort of tumbled into this metaphysical world that I was completely basically unaware of at the time. And at that point, my job became unbearable because, as you know, the energetics in a high stress environment like that are not conducive to any sort of healthy growth, any sort of healthy emotional regulation. And it got to the point I just couldn't do it anymore. And I was burnt out. And for the first time in my life, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a job lined up. People were like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I have no idea. I just can't do this anymore.
Right.
And then 2 months after that, I had gotten tickets to a Strange Escapes event. They were here in St. Augustine, like 3 miles from the house. And that's where I met Andrea Perron and her dad. And that's where I got picked up and have been on this insane train ride ever since. So people, how'd you end up here? I think for me, I've always been fascinated by the paranormal side. And then obviously I'm a Reiki healer as well, like you. Not, I can so much to learn from you. But for me, that was kind of where I started feeling like I was on the right path. It was something that I really resonated with. It was something that made sense to me, even not knowing a whole lot about it. Like, you just know when you're in the right spot. So, the fascination with the paranormal had been there. I live in St. Augustine, so we are,
you have to be fascinated with the paranormal,
right?
If not, you should move.
Exactly. You're in the wrong place if this is not your thing, right?
Exactly.
So I had a lot of experiences, but it's one of those things where you don't actually think you're going to be involved in the field, because I think in your brain you're kind of like, oh, that'd be cool, but how, right? And then it just sort of floats out of your head. So I just started kind of working behind the scenes and started off as Andrea's sort of So she's got several assistants that she works with that are just great. But I live very close to them.
Right.
So I've also got 20 plus years background in admin. And so I think it brings a little bit of a different skill set to the table, as far as like coordinating things and, spreadsheets and all those things that I actually really, really love. I started being able to help bring that skill set to a lot of people in the field, because I do think it's an underserved position where, you just need somebody who has that kind of a brain when you're helping people coordinate events or things like that. And I think too, going along with that, I started getting some pretty neat opportunities to go to, whether it was be a handler at an event or, that was kind of how I ended up at the Conjuring House the first time, was helping. I was Andrea's handler for the weekend.
Right.
But I think for me, the most important thing is that I've looked at every experience and every opportunity as a chance to learn and grow more. And so when I go to these things, I got my work game face on. Like, I will work my tail off because I feel like I've been given an opportunity, and that's my way of giving back. Like, I knew coming into this field that I didn't have a lot as far as, I don't investigate ever. I'm just not an investigator. So I don't have that end of it. But the energy work, the admin side, it was like, I realized that the way I could get involved was to help, just start, donating time or whatever, fill a need if somebody needed it. And so that kind of started snowballing into now being the admin and a caretaker at the Conjuring House and doing several other things. So for me, it's just been, I think I fought against my own life. I think I stayed in law way too long. I think the reason I was so miserable is because my soul was screaming, you need to get out of this. This is not what you're meant to do. And then I think once I jumped on the right path, it's just been, I just keep ending up with these neat things. Yeah, I think it's a testament to, learning to live your life for yourself and just trusting what the universe has planned for you. I mean, I had no idea. If you'd have told me I was going to work at the Conjuring House 3 years ago, number one, I'd never even seen the movie 3 years ago. I don't do scary movies.
You watched the movie and you still work there. What's wrong with you?
Well, I know, right? So, but I had never seen the movie before. I had met her family. I had no idea. And so I just, I stopped saying no to things. I did a lot of no. I was living in a lot of fear before. I just started saying yes to stuff. And, I think a lot of times I get sort of unfairly marked as, snobby or rude, or just, I think because number one, I think there's a lot of people who realize how lucky I am to have been able to do some of the things that I've been doing. But I think people assume it's because I've done it in underhanded ways, or I've, I've been asked several times, who have you slept with to get this job or that job? And it's like,
whoa.
I'm just trying to be.
That's only that's only supposed to be in the legal offices, not out here.
Right. And I think it's said sort of in jest, but there's, I think for me, I think it's hard for people to understand that I really did just get this stuff, just trying to work hard and bring my best self to represent the people I work with in the best light, and take every opportunity as a chance to grow. And I really think with that perspective, like, because I don't want to be on TV.
No.
If I see a camera, I'm running. You saw that in Vegas. I'd rather be the one taking the pictures.
I know.
Right? These are fine because I can't see people looking at me. But you want me on a camera? No, thank you.
That and we had a couple of people going around each table. I'm like, oh.
I'm like, I'll just be sliding over here.
Yeah, couldn't you have given me 5 minutes? I could have freshened up and then come back.
Right. So that's, for me, it's just, I'm a pretty outgoing person. I'm pretty antisocial when I'm home, but I think for me, I've found the thing I love, and I've been able to take my brain and world, because I really do love that stuff still.
Yes.
Give me a spreadsheet to make, right?
And the paralegal with all the details and everything. Like I said, I did it almost 35 years, if not 35. I can't remember. Almost 35.
And if you can survive that, nothing stresses you out.
No, it's like, oh, okay. Oh, it's the deadline in 10 minutes. I got it covered.
I got plenty of time. I got at least 8.5 minutes.
Wait,
We're
I
good.
could go to the bathroom to redo my hair. Well, everybody's biting their nails.
You're just like, We got this.
I got this. I got this.
Yeah.
Seriously, it is. That is something that is very useful for this kind of stuff.
It is. It
You know.
is. And especially in today's world where everything is online now and,
Mhm.
file sharing and,
Yeah.
connecting, whether it's with promoters or, just podcasts,
Yeah.
sending,
Yeah.
I mean, everything's online and, emails. And I think if you have, I think a lot of people have friends that work for them, which is great. And they learn a lot. But
Right.
when you get an actual person with an admin background, as you know better than anyone else,
Hmm.
it's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
And it's not
And,
because you're better than, you just
no.
have a different way of doing things. You have experience that other people don't have. So your brain just operates a little bit differently.
Hmm.
And I think people are learning that's really, really useful.
Hmm. And those, as a paralegal, you're trained to look for those details
You are.
and, dot all those I's, cross all those T's, and look at it
Yeah.
again. So, that is very helpful for any event or anything really.
I agree.
Like all my podcasts, I have a spreadsheet for each podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
And then if I cross the guests from one podcast to another, okay, and then I'll put that one was first over here.
It's probably color coordinated, I'm sure, as well,
Oh,
right? Oh,
please,
yeah, of
please.
course.
By
Mm-hmm.
years, by
Yep.
years on the bottom,
Tabs. All.
tabs,
Yep.
and yes, 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 of course.
Same
And,
brain, girl. Same
and,
brain.
and then what subjects?
Yeah.
That's another thing.
I do the same thing. I have one of those for Andrea. She doesn't even know it really exists, I don't think, but it's out there.
Oh, she's great. She's great. I've known her since 2017 personally. So her and her, just ask her about her potato salad.
Her potato salad? Okay,
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they crack up on that.
Yeah. She is I jokingly call her my fairy godmother because I mean, when I met her and her dad, I didn't even know who they were. Like I couldn't have picked them out of a line. I had no idea.
Right.
I just thought we happened to be at the same event. But I think everybody needs someone in their life that sees the magic you are that you can't see, and kind of forces you out of your comfort zone and wants to put you out there because they see the things about yourself that you can't.
Exactly. It's like the mother bird, get out.
Very much.
Yeah. So
very much like stop hiding, stop, being afraid to be, who you are. And of course, that doesn't always come with nice stuff, but I think at the same time you learn to see yourself more that way. And I think overall, it's been such an incredible experience. I mean, I get to meet amazing people like you and do all these neat things. And again, I'm very much a person who wants to keep learning. That's the beautiful thing about this stuff is there's never, you're never going to run out. Right. So if I can take every opportunity as a chance to learn something new, grow, or whatever it is, then if that's my mindset and that's my angle or my agenda, then I don't think I'm ever going to go wrong because if they kick me off this paranormal train 6 months from now, I want to be like, that was the best couple of years I've ever had. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Well,
and this is something I always say, the more you learn, the more you grow and evolve.
100% agree.
No matter what
agree.
it is that you're learning, you just keep learning it, and it just fits in with everything else that you already.
It does.
With. Yeah. So
I think the energy work helps with that too, because I mean, I think when we were laughing about the Vegas thing, I mean, all of the sensitives had corralled in this bathroom because the energetic overload was so intense.
Yeah.
But when I mean, we were all just like, oh my God, everybody's laid out because we're
all the ladies who did energy work were in the bathroom hiding.
Yes. Rotating the chaise lounge. But I think what I learned from that event was for somebody like myself who was, I mean, I'd been doing energy work for a few years, but very much still a newbie at it, how much the people that are at those events as celebrities or vendors need energy work while they're at these events.
Yes. Yes.
So kind of a energetic assistant, as it were,
just even cleansing them and getting rid of whatever has not been so positive that has come by their table,
Exactly. Yeah.
their spot,
Yep.
whatever they go and present. What is it that somebody complained about, or snarked about, or whatever it is, and then
Oh, yeah.
you get rid of that negative energy. No,
Yeah.
definitely, and rejuvenate them. So,
Yeah. So it's been
mhm.
an interesting way to stay behind the scenes, but still know you're contributing to the field, like, whether it's energy work or admin work or, tour guide at the farmhouse or whatever it is. I get to be involved and do really neat stuff, but do it by way of helping people, which is what I've always been, someone's assistant. So that's sort of my go-to anyway.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
you're the same way. So it's the
Well,
perfect kind of lane to
yes,
stay in.
yeah. I used to I was at a point where the attorney would leave 3 months at a time and
Hmm.
would say, "You got the office."
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm my own boss. Good. I can do whatever I want now.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
It's like, because I hated when I worked at this one law office where the attorney would come literally and stand behind me to see what I was doing.
Oh
He
yeah, no, I
thought I
can't do that.
needed spoon feeding, and I'm like, so I would turn off everything. Let me know when you're done, because that's when I will continue. No, 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 no,
No,
no.
no.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
You give me the
No,
job, trust that you gave it to the right person. That's it.
same way. And I think work ethic is important too, because you can't
Yeah.
teach that either. And I'm the
No,
same way. Like, I'll get it done. You
yeah,
tell me where we're at, where we need to be, and how much time I got. I'll figure it out. But I can't
exactly.
do it while you're standing over me, because
No,
that's just, you're gonna
annoying.
have to trust me, just like you
That's
said.
annoying.
Yeah, it
Annoying.
is annoying.
So,
Annoying. Fact.
yes. So,
Don't lie.
you kind of mentioned quickly tour guide at the Conjuring House. Come on,
Hmm.
spill
Okay,
the
so
beans.
so we'll get into the Conjuring House side of things. Yeah, I kind of glazed over that, I guess. Yeah, so
Yeah.
uh, I went to the Conjuring House for the first time June of 2022, just to tour the house. Bought a ticket
Yeah.
online, showed up with a friend,
Hmm.
instantly fell in love. Felt like
Hmm.
I was at home.
Hmm.
Um, Started going and attending events with Andrea, and I think because I work so hard, Jacqueline was needing help on the admin side of things, but that I didn't start off in admin. I went up last summer to help with the new camping experience, which is the ghost camping on the property. So
Right.
I was up there I stayed on the property with the dog for 3 weeks.
Hmm.
Like, who in their right mind takes their first paranormal job at the Conjuring House and with no investigating experience? It's like, oh yeah, I'll sleep there for 3 weeks, no problem. But it was great. I loved it. You
I could
know,
probably tell
I
you
think
each
it's
and every paralegal there is. I don't know
right,
why.
exactly. Right. So, but I think it was interesting because it's a place, you've been there. It's a place where you kind of, when you're working, you just have to jump in, right? There's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like a training program. Like, you just dive in because the place is hopping all the time. Mm. And I think because I spent that time as part of the caretaking team,
Hmm.
went back for a couple of other events, um, September, and then again at Halloween last year.
Right.
And Jen Heinzen was looking to start kind of stepping back from the admin position. So
Hmm.
they asked me to step in. So then I started doing the tour guide part as well, because, doing the camping, we do outdoor tours of the property.
Right.
But then I started doing inside tours of the house. So the caretakers, the way that setup works now, nobody lives on the property full time. That was part of the sale of the house, is that nobody could live in it full time. It's just, as you know,
Hmm.
stupid intense there.
Hmm.
Even on a quiet day, the energy is intense. So the caretakers stay on the property. They rotate 1 week on,
Right.
and then we have like 3 or 4 we rotate every month.
Okay.
And so they have so many different things you can do up there. The day tours, the camping, the overnight investigations, all these different events. But I think the tour part of it was the most nerve-wracking for me, because I feel like, because it's the Conjuring House, I mean, it's not just like your neighborhood local haunt, like, it's the Conjuring House. There's a huge amount of responsibility, I feel like, to get it right, to make sure that you've got the history as accurate as we know it. And of course, we're always learning new things about the place, but you want to make sure that it's such an important part of the guest experience to
Hmm.
love the place. And I think that's where the Conjuring House and a lot of these other haunted locations are very lucky, is because these people that work for them or are docents there really do love the place, right? Because otherwise it doesn't work. You've got to have people who, number one, understand the energy, know how to handle it, but are as passionate about the history of it and wanting other people to learn about it. And I think that's something I fell in love with, because I hate public speaking. When Jacqueline told me I was going to have to do tours, I like freaked out. I almost threw up, cried a couple times. But again, I've always said that house constantly pushes me out of my comfort zone. And that's how I know I'm supposed to be there, because I have to keep testing myself. So, but it's now one of my favorite things to do is do the tours, because it's just fun to watch people walk through the front door for the first time. Like most of the time they're just so excited to be there. You occasionally get someone who's real scared, but not very often now, because I think we've done such a good job of focusing on the history and trying to delineate what's true in the movie and what's actual history.
Right.
And telling people, no, Bathsheba was never actually here on this property. Like she, lived in the area, but, just trying to make sure that people understand that this is a real house, that these were real events, but that the way the movie was portrayed is only 5 to 10% accurate.
Or Hollywood. It was Hollywood.
It was Hollywood. Hollyweird, as Andrea says. And I think for us too, the most important thing above everything else is it's we owe it to the spirits to get it right.
Exactly.
Above everything else, we owe it to them. That's the most important thing. Getting it right for them, and then making sure we protect them from the human element as much as we can. So it's a big job. I think sometimes I forget the responsibility that goes with it. But it's just more because you want to make sure you get it right. That's really it.
Yeah, and the history of any place is very important. It's like, I do investigations, but I have really done for a long time now just private investigations, because I like to go, and I don't even call it investigations. I like to go in there and talk to the spirits and see what their story is. And then go search in historical societies or the cemeteries or anything like that, and get that to be in black and white, so to speak. And
I completely agree with you.
And follow the evidence. But it's great to be in a place like that where there's so much history, just even in the town. It's such an old town and all that other stuff. It's not just a whole bunch of brand new buildings. It everything is about the history and how we can preserve it. Because
and there's certain locations that are living. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think there's certain locations, and I think the Conjuring House is one of them. They are the house itself and the land itself is a living, breathing thing, right? Like it's not just your spirits on the land; it's the house itself has become this living, breathing structure. And so I think if you get, because I think for people it's so hard to drop the expectations in a place like that, whether it's a movie expectation or what like we have people who just want to see demons, and I'm like, well, you're going to be relatively disappointed, right? But I think if people will just like drop their expectations when they get there and just allow the house to talk to you, I think that is the best thing people can do, because there is so much to learn that's not spoken on that tour, right? Like just taking in the energy and paying attention to what's around you, and not assuming it's a demon crawling up the stairs coming to like, eat your heart or anything. Like literally it's people that work the property, lived there for a long time, died there, still live there, still work there. And I feel like I've been very lucky to get to do that and learn so much. It's been a crash course in all things paranormal. For sure.
Well, that's definitely jumping into the deepest side of the pool and not knowing how to swim.
Right. Somebody throw me a life vest, please. So that's true. It's all been great. It's all been great. I love it.
I know we're joking around. So that's a great idea of the glamping.
Well, it is.
It's because it gets people to see also the nature part of it, the calming side of it. how
Yes.
pretty it is, how calm it is, how nature just rejuvenates you, and you allow all the environment to really become a part of you right there.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And that place at night is there's even a line for me. Like that bridge back there, I won't go past that at night. Um but I think it's just a different environment at night, and it almost feels more like I don't deserve to be out there, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Right? Like it feels like that bridge is a dividing line between, the colonial side and then
Right.
obviously your native side. And because of what we did to them, I don't know that we deserve to be on that side. And I think it's a little bit scary over there at night, but that's probably well deserved.
You see, I,
Because
I was I was one of those that went later on at night to the bridge, so it's okay.
oh
It
yeah,
was actually I,
they've tried to get me out there. I am such a sissy. I had campers lost one night over the bridge, and I'm like, they might stay lost. No, I'm just kidding.
here's a
I mean,
flashlight. Follow
yeah,
the
right.
flashlight.
Yeah. Can you see it in the air? But I have friends, they love it over there at night. They
Oh yeah,
feel like that. They'll jump over the other side of the bridge, walk all back there, no problem.
mhm.
I'm just not that brave yet, but I'll admit it, no problem.
It is very calming though, because if you like you're going to go in with a good heart, not bad
Yes.
intentions or anything like
No,
that. Anybody who is like that, who feels like that, who's open like that, will have
they won't
absolutely
last long.
no problem if they will not have
Yeah.
any problem if you're good hearted. If you're going
Yeah.
in there to stir up stuff, like any other place,
It
they're
matches
gonna
energy.
they're going to let you know that it's unacceptable one way or another.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think the woods back there during, because I love being back there during the day. I
Hmm.
mean, especially just taking the dog for a walk. It is so beautiful, like you said, back there, the
Hmm.
trees, and you forget that all those stone walls snake all back through there, and
Yeah.
you can feel them everywhere. But like you
Mhm.
said, they're not eyeballing you in a negative way. It's almost like they're watching you enjoying the nature
Yeah.
when you're back there.
Hmm.
Um, so I love being back there during the day. I'm just a complete sissy when I can't see at night. So, you
Uh,
know,
and and you give
but
tours
I
in
work
the
at the Conjuring
Conjuring
House.
House.
The irony is amazing. People are like, "Do you want to go see the scary movie?" No, absolutely not. They're like, "Why not?" I'm like, "I want to sleep." Aaron, you work at the Conjuring House. I'm aware of the irony. I get it. But it's weird because that place feels like home on some level
Hmm.
to me. Like
It
I'm
was
not
very
saying I lived there.
calming for me. It was very calming to me.
I think
Um,
overall it is. There's moments for sure where it gets really intense, but I think that's more from a startle aspect than a scary
hmm.
aspect. Now we can't deny that there's something negative in the cellar, and we're not doing the public any justice by saying, "Oh no, there's nothing negative." There is. There's no doubt. There's something not right down there. But I do think
I think
overall,
it's more on angry than negative.
yes,
I
angry
believe it's more
probably
angry.
that would make sense as well.
You know.
I think they are they've confirmed, this, that
Mhm.
they know exactly what you're doing before you've even stepped foot on the property, every single person that comes in there.
That's
And
why
I
I
think, like,
asked for permission to come in when I was parking.
same,
So
same.
you
And
know.
and we know they told us that they want people to set their intention. So like if people email me about
Mhm.
bookings, they have questions and stuff, and
Right.
that's one thing I always tell them. I'm like, they already know why you're coming, but they kind of want to hear it from you too.
Mhm.
And I'm like you, it's a sign of respect. Ask to come in.
Yeah.
I, even though I work there, it's funny, every time I go through the house, like, I always tell them what I'm doing, where I'm going.
Mhm.
Um, because it's their house, right? Like I'm
Exactly.
just a visitor. I'm just here for a week or 10 days or a couple of weeks or whatever. And then I'll at night get to the point, like if the house is empty, I'll shut the door at like 8:30 or 9 and be like, okay, this is yours for the night. I will not be back in here. And
Mhm.
you can hear them moving around and
Mhm.
stuff sliding. And um, so I always try to honor and respect their space as well,
Right.
and keep them informed of, my comings and goings, because I think that's important to when you're walking for somebody else's house. And
Right.
so I think as a result, my experiences have been have been good. I mean, I've never been
Mhm.
scratched. I've not been pushed. Nobody's really yelled at me or anything like that.
Yep. And I was there for all those hours that with that paranormal
Mm-hmm.
event, and I had nothing.
Pretty great place.
I was like, oh, I love this. I felt loved. I felt welcome.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
started in the parking lot before I even got out of the car. We're here for this. May we come
Yeah.
in?
Yep.
And as soon as I heard the okay, that's when we got out and we went. And even before I walked through the door, are you sure it's okay? Because I'm like, I'm not here to do anything. I'm just here for this. I'm not going to
Right.
send you away. I'm not going to ask you to knock 3 times on the wall for me. I'm not going to
Right.
do any of that stuff.
Right. I don't.
I just
I
want
don't
your
either.
story. I want your story, how you lived it.
Right. Right.
And when I was there, that's what I got.
It,
It's beautiful.
it is. It's a beautiful location, and just the amount of history. And I try to tell people too, because you do on occasion get, people who don't want to get out of the car just because they don't have a ticket or the paranormal's not their thing.
Right.
So if I happen to be on staff, I try to ask if they're into the historical side of things, because then
Mhm.
I can kind of point out different locations on the property, talk about the building itself. Because to
Mhm.
me, paranormal aside, the fact that that place is in the shape that it's in, and it's
Mhm.
almost 340 years old, I mean,
Mhm.
that's a testament to how well loved it's been all these years. I mean, original
Exactly.
foundation, original siding, or mostly original window. I mean,
Yeah.
that place, from a historical perspective, is so unbelievably well built.
Mhm.
Like the well being built inside the house so you couldn't poison the family and take their land. Like, it's built almost like a fortress to me. And
Right.
so the fact that it's still standing, even if you're not into the paranormal, just from the historical perspective, that place is incredible,
The
you
wood.
know?
Oh my
Oh God, the wood's my favorite. The wood
God.
floors, the
I know.
royal, the
The
king,
real
what do they call them?
thick.
King boards, 19
Yes.
inches or something. Oh my
Yeah.
God, those are my favorite. Right in the seance room. Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
And like the pegs,
Yep.
I love looking for like the axe marks in the wood. And
Mhm.
when they were redoing the barn last year, they had pulled a bunch of the original wood out from the 1800s, and it was really neat to see how the wood was marked by the builder, to
Yeah.
keep things in order. And just the craftsmanship that they used. Do you think any of the houses that we build now would stand 300 years?
No.
They could barely survive a tornado. A
and
small
and
one.
yeah, and those houses were meant to last
Collapse.
everything. And that's
Yeah.
another piece of history that's lost if we
Yeah.
don't if we don't really keep track of it, if we don't spread it out, if we don't teach others, you know,
Yeah.
dear Lord. And you could see where they cut the wood and how they cut it, and manually you could see that. Oh, it's just
Can
amazing.
see the love and the labor
Yes.
in it. And I think that's another thing too. People, I know we get a lot of flack for the pricing for like overnights and stuff, but
Mhm.
I think for one, it's expensive to run a property like that and keep it up. That
Mhm.
thing's 8.5 acres. A lot of it's grass.
Mhm.
Um, and it just takes a lot of money. The amount of oil you have to use to run that place in New England, like it's expensive. And I think for, as historical preservation is so important. You can't have places like the Conjuring House and other places
Mm-mm.
if you don't have some sort of business to support the upkeep and
Mhm.
paying the staff and things like that. And um it's an important, like you said, it's an important part of history. But if we want people to be able to keep continuing to enjoy it and learn about it with
Mhm.
us, then it's we've got all price points. But
Right.
um it ain't cheap to run, that's for sure. Like,
Now, well, I have a house that was built or put in the books in 1900,
mhm.
and so just to redo anything, it's like,
It's
the
expensive.
moldings, all original moldings, all original wood in certain places still there. And
Wow.
I'm like, oh, how am I going to get somebody to redo this section here because it's got to continue to match. I don't want it to just be, you know,
Yeah, you
or we
can't just
could
call
just
Joe Blow contractor. You have
no.
to find someone who's, especially in Pennsylvania of all
Yeah.
places, like one of my favorite shows was that Stonehouse Revival or something, and it's all in
Right.
Bucks County, Pennsylvania. It takes special people to do that kind of work on these
Yes.
old historic properties.
Hmm. Hmm. So I know it could be very expensive, and but it's all worth it because you
It is.
actually feel the house giving you love back. The
Yeah.
energy, it is so different than when you walk into some of these brand new houses. It's like you walk in and you feel warmth. You walk into a
Yes.
brand new house, and not that maybe it's because nobody's lived in it, and families have not given their true love to it. Share love and
Right.
memories. But it's cold. It's like a blank
Like
canvas, so to
slate.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it to me, it's I walked in and I was just sat in one of those benches, wooden
Hmm.
benches that's attached to the wall, and the whole wall is all wood with stained windows, and it's like I sat there and I'm like, yep, this is my house. And the
Yep.
kids are all running around. Everybody's running around, looking at everything. Oh, look at this! Look at this! Look at this! And yep, yep, yep. This is. You don't want to look. No,
Feels like
right there.
home.
I know that this is my house. This is it. This is it. I
Yeah.
didn't even look at any other houses, and I put in an offer right away, and it was taken. So,
Well, and you love like all the little. And now, of course, where I live is a condo built in 1983 here in St. Augustine, right? So like this
right,
cinder blocks the whole nine. But
right.
a place like that, I think you learn to love the idiosyncrasies of the house, like
Hmm.
the ridiculous stairwell, like that, straight up and a rise of a foot and a half or whatever. And
The
just the
steps,
little.
the butler steps. I have the butler steps.
My
Okay.
God, girl, those are like
Yeah.
insane.
in
You
in the
know,
back of through my kitchen, you go up that way, or you could go through the front. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to use steel stairs.
Yeah, forget those stairs. Forget those stairs. But you learn to love all the little quirky, weird things
Yeah.
about a house like that because all of those things have a story. And
Hmm.
um, I think that's the thing I love the most about when I'm at the house is like a couple times when I'm there, I try to, get a cup of coffee and when nobody's in the house in the morning and just sit in the seance room or the parlor, wherever,
Right.
and just sit in silence and not say anything. I mean, say good morning, obviously, because we
Right.
always talk to them, but just
Right.
sort of take it in and,
Hmm.
think about how many. I mean, you had 8 generations of one family lived in that house. I mean, the parents were the first ones not in that family line to own it.
Yeah.
So, you wonder how many people, how many Christmases, how many birthdays, how many,
Hmm.
harvest seasons. I mean, you just think about all the people who've been under that roof and the ones that loved it more than we do because they actually lived on it, worked on it.
Hmm.
But the fact that they're still around and they still love the place and they're still willing to help us learn about them and that house,
Right.
I think is pretty incredible because I think that's the other thing a lot of people don't realize for us is the spirits are just as much part of like our staff team because,
Yep.
anything that gets done to the property, they talk to the spirits about it.
Hmm.
Um, like at night, they kind of keep an eye on the house for you if you need to,
Hmm.
because obviously you have to sleep as a caretaker. You can't stay up for every overnight, but
Right.
it's kind of it's a joint session and we kind of laugh like in the mornings when we're looking at who's on the books. We wonder, are they doing the same thing, on, on that side of it? And I do think we sort of take care of each other. So it's just a really unique relationship and a unique place to get to form that kind of
Hmm.
relationship with spirits that it's just a really neat thing to be a part of, I think. I would
Hmm.
have expected that. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, and I am sure that if you haven't noticed yet, but I am sure they're letting you see things than normally
Yes.
would. Because I know when I was just there, for a little bit, I actually got to see the house in the olden times. I got to see how it looked and how they were dressed and all that.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, this is really neat. It's like an old movie. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, especially now that they know you and they trust
Yeah.
you, and you're there, basically a lot, so all the time. Um, that I am sure is very extra special for you.
It
Um,
is. I think, especially when you don't have a lot of experiences, I mean, I obviously lived in a haunted hotel in college. I mean,
right,
lived in St. Augustine where I grew up in Atlanta, Civil War ground,
right,
so, but nothing like as in your face. And
right.
I mean, I think you hit a big point of it is you have to earn their trust
Mm-hmm.
first, which
Yeah.
is absolutely reasonable. And I do think they understand your level of what you can handle.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to, because I noticed this last time, it was the first time I'd stayed there alone in the house. There was nobody else
Mm-hmm.
on the property unless we had, investigators. But
Right.
it's like they knew, they took it easy, because I have my little
Mm-hmm.
dog too, who doesn't do great up there sometimes. But every day it would get a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like a
Oh,
cautious
mm.
increase.
It was like, oh, she handled that well. Okay, let's bring up a
Right.
little bit more and a little bit
Right.
more. Yeah.
But I
So
think it's like they want you, it feels to me, of course, it's just my own personal opinion
right.
based on my experience. They want you to learn about them at your
Mm-hmm.
own pace. Like, I don't think they want to scare you. That's not their
No.
intention. I think, like in my case, there were a couple of spirits who were particularly excited that I was in the house,
Mm-hmm.
which is a whole nother story for a whole nother kind of podcast. But I, that was a relationship I wasn't aware of that I would need to navigate and cultivate and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in learning that, it really helps you understand how much of the humanness a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
spirits still retain.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a unique opportunity to help them maybe navigate some of their own stuff that they're working on.
And also understand now what's happening now, because let's
The
face it,
different.
an owner of a house, especially the lady of the house,
Mhm.
you see a whole bunch of people going in and out of the house, going all over the place, and you're not even acknowledging her, even though
Yeah,
she's there and
exactly.
all that. And it's
Yep.
like, wait, I, I'm the lady
I'm
of the
still here.
house.
I'm
Yeah,
still here.
right. Like, acknowledge me or let me know that you see or feel me or anything, because
Yeah.
she's still there. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's her love. That's her house, her home.
Yeah. And I think certain energies attract certain energies. I think certain energies attract certain spirits, whatever that reason is, depends on those energies, I think.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that's what's fascinating about these locations is there's always another onion layer to peel back on a place like that
Exactly.
but it depends on your intention. Why, I
Mhm.
think what we've gotten away from a lot is the historical side of things. I feel
Mhm.
like more, and I'm just going to say this, and I'm probably going to get yelled at, not by you, but somebody later, but I'm going to say it. I feel like we've
Uh,
shifted so
mhm.
much now from the
Mhm.
historical side of things. How much can we learn about these places? How much can we learn about their inhabitants? How can we help them on that end? To
Right.
how many pictures can I take with my favorite celebrity at this event?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like and there's nothing
And
wrong with taking
no,
pictures,
no,
but
no,
the
and
focus,
even following, you know, celebrities who that's no big deal. The idea is to remember
yes,
and also to bring that memory back, because a lot of these people that are called to certain properties, they don't realize they may have had a life there, or they may
yep,
have known or been family members of the owners, or somehow really
or
connected.
worked there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever you don't know, unless you go in and you sit there and you talk to them and you allow that knowledge to come in, so you can remember and
yes,
understand what it is that you're seeing and feeling and all that. It's very important not to lose sight of
what
the
we're actually
history.
here for to do.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
Which
I
a lot
think
of the times it gets lost somewhere in the translation.
it does, and that makes me sad. And I know, I think that for me, I'm lucky that I did dive into this later. And I mean, I think I've been very lucky in the people that I've met early on in my kind of falling into the paranormal. People like Andrea, Johnny Zaffis, Rick McCallum, some of the people that have been
Right.
Michelle Ruse put in my path.
Yeah.
They're people that were into this before TV was a thing.
Right.
And like Ken DaCosta, it's just a different headspace. Like they're still into the historical end of it. They want to get answers about it. And so to be able to call on those people with questions or, any kind of concerns and be able to get a straight up answer and know it's like coming from a good place, has, I think, been really helpful for me too, because I got to get in with a crowd that aligns with how I look at things too. And that's putting history first and putting spirit first.
Right.
Above everything else.
Yeah, it's like when I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and I was there until I think I was 26. And I remember every single time I would walk to the big library, walk in through those doors, the historical librarian would disappear because she knew I was going to go ask her about some property. And it's like, oh, come on, you love me. She's like, okay, what is it now?
What is it this time?
And she would get her, what is it this time? And, because in Newark, they keep historical records there too in the big library, the main library. Not just, you go through these special doors and everything is extremely dusty because nobody goes there.
Right.
And they have all the birth records and all the death records and the old books.
The good stuff.
The good stuff.
Yes. The good stuff.
Who was buried where and, all that stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that, I look for because I get the history from the ghost, the spirit, and then I go and I provide the evidence to the homeowner or to whoever asked me to go in there. And it's hysterical because I still remember that poor woman. Her name was Agnes. And she was like, I need you to forget my name, but you have such a lovely name. She didn't even
Aww.
Because I used to help a lot of families that were living in houses like 10 feet away from a cemetery. Yeah, this. Yeah, these houses have been there since the cemetery. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to make things a little calmer in the house. So we got to figure out who is it, what they were here, when they were here. And then we could kind of come up with a resolution is what I call it. Where everybody can live in peace.
Everybody coexist.
Everybody coexist, and both sides understand the other side and gets to know them and can appreciate. So like I said, I still remember, oh my God, she was the poor lady. Looking back now, I really feel bad for her because it isn't like you could just look in a computer. It was all those little, you had to go through
index cards, Dewey Decimal System, microfiche, the whole nine. Yeah, totally get it.
Yeah. And she was like, you're going to make me work today.
I know. But that's where I think that's the one thing I love about like Ken DaCosta is he's basically written an entire manual in his 50 plus years of investigating of like how they handle things from soup to nuts. And, because I love the research end of it, paralegal side of it. I'm waiting for somebody to drop a checklist in my lap outside of, plat maps, the usual stuff, your public records, marriage, license, death certificates. But I know there's other stuff that they look for, and I want to know where that stuff is. Tell me what those documents are. You know what I mean? Because take me on an investigation. I'm probably not great to have in the house because you come around the corner the wrong way with the lights on, and I'm going to scream because I'm one of those people. But take me out of there, put me in the library, let me do the research, and then your investigation will go through.
That's a great. Every team needs a historian. That's the way I look at it. An investigator that actually investigates the history of it. But I always say, I don't want to know about it before I walk into the house or the property. I want to know about it so I can provide the evidence later. So
bingo.
So you mentioned
totally agreed.
So tell us about that. You co-host every once in a while. Or
Yeah, so with Ken and George, I
Mhm.
met at the farmhouse, and obviously I don't even remember how I actually got connected with the show originally, but I got connected with Ken through, through Andrea. I'd spent
Andrea,
some time up
right?
in New England,
Yeah.
and they had me on, I think, on the panel a couple of times, and then
Hmm.
I think they started enjoying having somebody with more of an energy type brain, more than a paranormal brain, because just
Right.
because it adds an
Right.
extra sort of
Exactly.
layer of context.
Hmm.
But what I love about that is I get to learn a lot from them. I mean, I know for me, the few times I've interviewed, I mean, I got to interview Michelle Belanger, and that's the first time I've ever been nervous in an interview, but because I've admired her work for so long,
Hmm.
I think what I've learned is to try to hit on subjects not everybody covers, like the
Hmm.
energetic side of things.
Hmm.
And so again, I'm like, okay, well, been giving this place to talk to people. And so again, it's just another opportunity for me to learn. But like, I'm not as concerned about your most haunted place. Like, tell me what makes you tick, right? Like,
Exactly.
what's the
Yeah.
thing that lights your soul up? And then you can kind of see them get all excited because it's a different avenue than
Hmm.
you get a lot from. And I think that's what I like about Ken and George's show so much is they try to go those different angles.
Hmm.
Well, that and probably because Ken's interviewed everybody on the planet in this field, you know what I mean? But it's a place, Dead Air is a place that I continually get to grow and learn
Right.
through the interview process, whether I'm just
Hmm.
watching the show or I'm actually on a panel or whatever. And so any opportunity I can learn, I love, and I think they do a good job. I think they
Hmm.
investigate in a respectful way. He is a plethora of knowledge. So just another situation I'm very lucky to be a part of. I design all of their like YouTube thumbnails for the
Okay.
shows, all of
Hmm.
the Dead Air shows. I do all that design work for them. That's just something I kind of do for fun because I love it.
Hmm.
Um, but again, a situation, he'll be like, "Oh, we're covering X, Y, Z," and so I get to dive deep into these stories I've never heard of,
Hmm.
and then create the graphics from there. So again, like I said, I just kind of end up finding places where people need stuff, and I just provide the stuff, and
There
then
you go.
I get to do cool things, and I think it works out great.
And it's great for you because you're learning and you're evolving
Yeah,
as well.
trying to. Definitely trying. I know it's a never-ending process, and I'm good with that. We just hope we can keep, keep moving forward, you know?
So I am going to put up your link tree uh, link so
Hmm.
people can find you, my dear. So
Yeah,
if anyone
and that
needs
is
somebody
exciting.
with your expertise or anything that you
Yeah,
can provide, let them find you. And they'll, of course, Facebook. You know, as
Facebook's
much
the
as
best
we
one for me.
try to, as much as we try to get away from Facebook,
You can't.
just can't, just
It's
can't.
like the hub. You can't.
Yeah,
I have a TikTok account, but I haven't used it.
yeah. No, I got three, four, no, five TikTok accounts, one
Like
for
I need to.
every thing, and once I really started, they took off, and it's like, okay, how did that
It's
happen?
so great. Yeah, well, I think it's funny because I'm not used to being like, on camera, but Dead
Mhm.
Air has started a Patreon, which has been
Right,
interesting. It's like $3 a month,
right.
but I get to do a little bit of content there. So I'll cover
Mhm.
things like meditation or, you know, grounding and protecting your energy because we're
Right.
learning that people know a lot about the paranormal, but they don't know about the metaphysically side of it so much. So
Mhm.
I do a little bit of
And
content creation for
it's
them.
very important to know how to protect yourself before you walk into anything. Yeah.
Bingo.
So, yeah.
Yes,
So
agreed.
yeah, it's like
Agreed.
with me. Well, you're a Reiki master. You know about Reiki, and
Mhm.
realize that this chakra needs to be cleansed every once in a while, and that's why I'm doing at the end of this month a actual class and session. So any healer can
Oh,
get a rotor on their chakra, so to speak.
sign me
Eh?
up.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
because
I'm in.
it's we all need it. And
We
even
do.
if you're not working in energy work, you pick up something at the store, you're picking up that
Yep.
energy that's there. Who knows who picked that item before you? the workers that put it together, the chippers,
Yeah.
the just from the first second that it starts, there's energy always being put into every single object. So you pick up something at the store and you're like getting contaminated by somebody who was angry
Yep.
because at
Target's the worst
their
offender.
boss, yeah,
Oh,
their
that's it. You
boss,
stay taught energy
yeah.
and like that in schools as opposed to
Hmm.
just energy from a fossil fuel perspective. Can you imagine
Yeah.
what a nicer place the world would be if we understood energy at the level I
Hmm.
didn't figure out till I was 40? I mean, come
Hmm.
on.
Hmm. Well, there you go. And I was very blessed. I started earlier, so I'm good.
But people like me need places to learn and grow. I mean, I
Hmm.
think a lot of us, I think with the way the planet is right now, a lot of us are awakening later
Yeah, yeah.
to
And
be a part of this.
mhm. And
And you need
this
to learn.
year, is going to be another big push on awakening, the whole awakening process. And
2024
people,
has been interesting so
right.
far in that
And
regard. Yeah.
everybody, yeah, everybody thinks it's only one time. No, no,
Mm-mm.
no. You keep
The constant.
it's a constant thing, and you keep going up. It's like going up from the first floor to the second floor. You got to keep going in on every step, going up and
Yeah.
up and up, but you still got steps to go. It isn't just one and that's it. So,
Well, I think too, we talk about it being like almost like a spiral, right?
mhm.
You learn something, and then the universe likes to bring it back around just
Yeah,
again one more time to make sure that you learn to not be an
uh-huh.
idiot this go.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Um,
humans, I'm really positive that we're the only animals, or the only thing in this whole world, living thing, that keeps doing the exact same thing and expects different results.
the pure definition. It's just, it's
It, you
yeah.
know, an animal gets caught at a fence and they hurt themselves. They don't go back. We keep
No,
let's keep rushing in. See if we can get through it this time.
I'll just hit my head one more time. It'll be the last one I need to do. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Jeez.
So, anything, we're almost out of time. Anything else that you want to just share with the audience before we go?
No, I don't. Thank you for having me. I don't really do a lot of self promotion. I think the only thing I'll be at an event. I'm working that event at Ohio State Reformatory for the Parapsychon again this year. I love that event.
Okay.
So looking forward to being
And
there.
when is
Not sure when
that?
I'll be.
When
It
is
is
that?
May, I think 17th through the 19th, I believe.
Okay.
But I'm just hanging out, helping some friends that weekend. But it's just a neat event to be a part of. So um, that's really it. You know me, I kind of hang out in the background until somebody's like, "Hey, can you come hop on my podcast and help me with something?" I say, "Yeah, sure." Otherwise, my life's pretty relatively uneventful most days.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost the same for me.
Yeah. But thank you for having me. I love being here.
Thank you for being here, honey, and I appreciate you. And I love you, and I love our audience, and to everyone, many blessings. Hang on for a minute. Many blessings, and as always, we love you. Bye.
Bye.